Communication includes body language, facial expressions, gestures, and so on, none of which can be used by radio. So we have to use what we've got, which is sounds, natural sounds and music, silence, and body, voice intonation, meaning the tone of voice, meaning you have to make sure that the person who is writing who is going to read your script feels about the stuff that is going to say the way you telling him to feel. So he has that yeah. There was sometimes we listen to somebody on radio even, and we can really hear their emotion, because when you're talking, then the microphone is actually very close to you. In this case, the microphone is this close to my mouth, meaning this is the ear of the people. I'm literally speaking into people's ear, and that is how it is really on radio. So it is incredibly intimate. It is a lot, you know, the voice, we underestimate a lot of things about ourselves. One is actually our voice. You have it the same today as you have it when you are old and gray. It is part of you, it's part of your identity. Last night I was woken up by the telephone and from New Zealand, because my husband is from New Zealand, and I was using his credit card and it got stolen in taxi, and so I had to, I'm now in the process. Please, if you walk in a riverbed and there's IDs of Lynette Smith, please let me have it back. So I'm in that process of, I've lost all of that. Also my phone, but so that's why I'm not giving you a phone number, I don't have one. So they were calling from New Zealand because they are like 11 hours ahead, and I failed the test the previous time. I could not prove my identity because they said, when did you open this account and whatever, and I don't know, because it's actually my husband's account, and I couldn't answer those questions, so they said, we cannot help you at this time. So they phoned then again, and just to say that I think I failed again the test, because then the guy was very helpful, and he said, we are going to establish for you a voice identity. So I had to say 3 times, my voice confirms my identity. 3 times, my voice confirms my identity. So in future, when I phone there, they will use my voice to confirm my identity. Scary, very scary. Yeah. So our voice is very much part of our identity. Because I can imagine how they're using it. They're playing it those waves, and it must fit into the waves, just like your fingerprint would fit into your earlier fingerprint on a computer. So scary days we're living in. So be aware that your emotions show in your voice. A lot of things show in your voice. Okay. Everybody can probably hear that. Okay, this woman, she's probably sad. They hear, when you have like a teary voice, when you're happy, it all shows in your voice, because it says a lot about you. You can probably hear that I have sinus, because I'm always more or less not able to breathe, and that is why I'm not wearing a mask. I really cannot breathe with a mask, so I'm just trying to keep my distance so that I don't make anyone sick. A lot comes across about us in our voice. So it is actually a powerful non-verbal tool that we have. And what do we have with the voice? We have the tone of voice. We have the speed of talking. Those are all things we can control. The speed of speaking, the emotions of the person, and the volume of the voice. I can say something like this, and they can say something like this, and it shows a totally different way. When I had my voice tests, and initially at NBC before they allowed to speak on the radio, I was advised how to make my voice sound more authoritative, because in the early days they didn't really allow women to speak on the radio. Why? Because we sound hysterical, because our voices are higher, and that makes you sound hysterical. And then a veteran guy who's been there a long time, he said to me, when you speak with emphasis, almost every word, and to help yourself, speak as though you're angry. So that I found really very helpful. So when you say something, you say it instead of saying, can you please pick up that thing, which like nobody would listen to. So can you please pick up that thing? So it does put a lot more emphasis, authority into the voice. So yeah. The way a person says something can dramatically change the meaning of the words that are spoken. You have only control over the words. So give instructions for the meaning that has to come across. Now, in the voice that we are speaking, there's also a percentage. What do you think is the percentage of communication that lives in the voice inflection? Do you understand the question? The question is, I'm saying something, and the voice inflection is the way that I say it. What percentage of meaning is in the voice inflection particularly alone? The voice inflection. It's actually not that high. So when I say something, you hear the words, you understand the words, you also hear the spoken thing, so you know, okay, this is the sentence I'm saying. What percentage of meaning does the voice inflection add? 35?
A greater percentage, given the fact that it's not what you say, it's how you say.
Yeah.
That carries the bigger meaning.
Yeah.
So the greater percentage.
Oh, they're going to punish us. Say it in the mic.
Okay. As I was saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, what matters in most cases. So the greater the percentage of the inflection, so the higher the percentage of meaning it carries across.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. But she will get also a prize because it's actually 38%. Yeah. 38% of the meaning is in a voice inflection. Yeah. Okay. So 38% of what we communicate is based on voice inflections. meaning even if that voice inflection is a silence, even then. So it's very powerful. And as he said, meaning how they say things. So if I come in here and I say, I'm really excited to be here, are you going to believe me? No, you will not believe me. Okay. Right. Now we move on. I wanted to talk a little bit about, of course, a real life situation of sound communication is the phone. Okay. So a phone communication is very frustrating because you can't see the person's face. And if the person does not want you to really know what he is saying behind your back, they can also hide it. So phone conversation is frustrating that way. And the same then applies on radio as well. Okay. But then also then they say that on the radio, on the telephone, up to 88% of the message that you get from the receiver can be the verbal communication, which leaves only 7% in words. So people who cannot see develop acute hearing, and this is the same here. If you depend on the message, you absolutely must know. Then you close your eyes and you just listen to every intonation that voice may tell you. And I think it's a reality that many people in a love relationship where they are not sure about the other person, they would apply this. They are trying really to hear what is on the other side, what is really being said here. They are trying to imagine what clues do I get from this voice? Is there is there truth in the voice? Is there love in the voice? Is there consideration? Is there boredom? Is there what? So we have to pay close attention not only to our words but also how we say it. So let us not allow our narrators to mess up the words that we carefully crafted in our scripts. Okay, so what are the pictures that are on video that we do not have? There are diagrams where they can show things. We don't have that. We can also not compensate for it. We cannot explain it. It's not possible to say there, then the graph goes up and what. I think we tried it a little bit in that thing of the water, but it is limited. We are limited in our ability to show those things. So we can only use our senses. So what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? And taste like and all that, we did with the cups this morning. We absolutely have to include examples because that makes it real. And we have to keep our sentences short, but not too short, meaning in dialogue on video, you can say, look, like this, but you cannot do this on radio. So it's a shortcoming. We have to give more detail because there's only the person's ear right here, and everything we pack into that is there. What we don't put in there isn't there. Then the use of activities, very, very important. As many activities as we can, but of course We have 15 minutes from beginning to end, and everything has to be packed in there. And the examples and the practical activities are actually more important than our words. So the words, we have to practice to make a long sentence as short as possible, as long as it still says the same thing. In journalism, I learned to make everything simple, to the whole time to interpret and summarize, to say it. If it comes from a press statement from a government organization, all with these fancy words, I have to reinterpret and simplify it for the listeners. So I found it very frustrating then going to the training authority, because the description of competencies is very exact. You have to use those words because it has an exact meaning. So it depends on what is the purpose of what you are saying. If the competency is exactly to be able to do what, to what degree and all that, then you have to use that. So again, why are you teaching this? Why are you saying it? You have to know why you are using this word, why you are using the sentence at all. If you don't need a sentence at all, if you can show it even by sound without saying it, it's better. But yeah, words are precious tools that we have, and we have to use as few of them as possible. The examples are more important than the narration. Okay? So our narration is just to bind the one example to the next. Okay. So the activities and the examples. You see that? Do you see the difference? Examples mean in real life you would use this for this, this, this. Activity is where you apply whatever you are saying in an activity. Okay. So you are doing something for which there is sound and everything. An example is something that you have with voice that you can explain. Okay. So again, so the practical activity would be more important because it has the sound and all that. And you then just reinforce, this is what you heard, and this is what we're doing, and this is why. Okay. The audience, what do you call the audience? Do you call them listeners? Listeners, today we are doing this. Do you call them students? Today we are doing this. Learners, we are doing this. Learners and listeners, any ideas from the cloud? Oh, the cloud must come back to us. Yeah? What do you like? If you are going to call them normally learners or listeners, listeners is a little bit more formal. Yeah, learners determines actually the relationship that you're having with them, isn't it? Learners. If you are going to call them learners in the classroom, then that is what you could do here, unless you don't want to be seen as the teacher.
Okay, we usually I've seen that since these lessons will be broadcasted on community radio stations in NBC, we don't have a control on who listens. It's not just the learners. Post-secondary education, we refer to them as learners.
Yeah.
But I've seen, and I rather liked it that they said, dear learners and listeners, because there's general public that's also listening to the lessons. But if it's now for the more tertiary, I think they will call them students
Okay.
for the tertiary institutions.
Okay. Yeah.
But guide us.
No, that is an important consideration that she points out, that Mims is pointing out, because what is important is that you're talking about you and me. I'm going to do this. It's not this. What we don't want is we are going to tell you this, and we are going, because we know there is that talk down thing of let's do this when you mean you do this. Okay, so we have to always keep those things in mind, and it is tricky, and maybe that designation that you use determines your listener group for that. So I mean, you cannot really have a program that's meant for everybody. It's a wild dream. It's not possible. So you have to, in your lesson, you will pitch it at a certain level. You pitch this at grade 8, or you pitch this at grade 11. So you have to keep that communications throughout the same. You cannot start by saying, target group, yes. That's right. So Marianina is saying it depends on our target group. If you're talking to learners, then learner, otherwise listeners or students. That's right. So you cannot actually have something that addresses everybody. It has to be tailored to that group so that there's your relationship with this group. If it's a group of grade 10 learners, then that is whom you address. But then there's the reality that there's always other listeners there as well. So you might add that to say grade 10 learners and other listeners also. Just be careful not to make it sound as though this is what you say every day. It must be a little bit personalized, at least in your tone of voice. Okay. So a lot of this we are trying to make it like a template so that you don't have to think so many fresh things every time, but the things that we do change, make it spicy wherever possible. So yeah, you address you yourself, your I, not we or Mrs. Watt is going to show you now. Just listen to Mrs. Watt. I will tell you. So it's always just I, and the people that you're speaking to is you. Listeners, you. Okay? This is actually easy in English. In other languages, it's quite complicated. So in other languages like the Setswana and the KKGs and that, you would know how it works. But the idea is use the personal you. Not like in Spanish, you would have usted. Usted is like y, like this. But in English, that it's quite clear. It's quite simple. You just use you. But then in the translation, in the others, that's where you would use the friendly, informal you. Okay. So that's how you address the audience. We spoke about this silence, and then just remember again that we cannot, if you cannot hear, you cannot learn. The purpose is learning. So make sure they can hear, make sure they can understand, and make sure they keep on listening and don't put it off or something. Somebody is soon going to do push-ups. And find a way to bind them to you. We're going to the script. So if you can have the script there. Ach nee, maar nou weer hierdie. No. Yeah. Okay, the script. Where is the script? We had it before. Yeah, I think it must be here. No. No, it's not here. Okay, so get your radio script, this one. We spoke a little bit about the top bits. Have you filled it in? Please have these and save them as program 1, program 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So you take this template and you save them. I normally do this when I am editing them. I would say File, Save As, one, concept of geography. Okay, save, and then you take the same template again and save it as 2 uses of water or whatever. Okay.
Sorry, on the template we're talking about program. We talk about lesson. Is it alternatively, can they use it? Either program or lesson, or should we stick to program?
Okay, what do you prefer?
Let's hear from the audience.
Program?
Okay.
Okay. So it doesn't really matter, but it's good to have it consistent, you're right. So what you would now highlight that, and if it's all for Namcol, then you do that in black, so that's what it is. The series is something like ICGSE or whatever, geography or biology or whatever it is. So can you do that now for all 5? So you just basically go to all 5 and you say, where it says series, you say biology, 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 program 1, biology, program 2, biology. You do that for all of them. Okay? Can we get an indication when you're done?
You can also be creative in your series, in naming your series. You can just say grade 10 geography, or I've heard some of the lessons they say learn geography, or will we keep it all of them at the same way, or do we give the writers free way?
You could say, you could say it here with the series. Grade 10 geography. Okay, let's do that.
So we are actually now training AS, so it should be the AS level NASCAS. NSSCAS, all capital.
NSSCAS. Like that. Okay. Okay, so you do that for all 5. Let me know when it's done. Okay. Can I get an indication? Do we done? Not? Okay. Okay. So also online, you know what we're doing. We are basically saving that template, 5 of them, program 1. So you can just say 1, the concept of geography, 2, whatever according to the lesson topics that you did yesterday. Okay. So for now, you just identify the series for all of them, all 5. Okay. So I want to help you so that you don't struggle later on with having to do it. It's actually possible to get to a reasonably final level. Program 1. So here you'll see it's in gray. So this is where you will change it. Program 2, whichever one it is, and the lesson name. So this is your lesson name. Okay, so you do this for all 5 as well. The lesson name. Okay. So you go into the one you saved as 1. You put the lesson name, program 1. Then same with 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put the lesson title. So this is the formal lesson title. The one, not the funky one that's creative, the one that it's really about. So if it's about speeches, if it's about, writing elements or, Okay. Okay, just show me a hand when you're done. Okay. We will proceed as soon as the first one is done. Okay, anyone? So you write your 5 titles or lesson titles in. Yeah, can we? No hands yet? No? Yeah, okay. We continue. So you have now written in all 5 of your titles there. The program developer is the one that you, the person that you get your assignment from to write the script and to whom you will send your script when it's done. Why do we need this? Because we are indicating here who is responsible for this script. So the program developer to whom you will be sending and who you are doing this for, you write in there. All 5 of them. Program developer, so you just write the name in one of them and copy it to all 5 of them. Okay. Done? Okay. And then the writer. So this is your name, the one who's going to write this script, your name and phone number. So you write it in script program 1 and you copy it to all the others, your phone number. I personally have found this really vital when I'm looking at a script and I'm trying to work. Sometimes people don't express themselves the way they want to, way they're meaning. So it helps those who look at the scripts to make sure, is this what you meant? And sometimes you get something and it looks as though it must be wrong. And then it helps to be able to contact that person and make sure. Okay, so the writer's name, done? Yeah. Okay, and then the date submitted. So maybe you will just say February 2022. Just say February 2022. When do you want all the scripts submitted to you? Audrey? When do you want all the scripts in? We're now in late January, so end of February?
End of February. Is it too soon? End of February, middle March?
You want to broadcast when, or when do you want to place it? Do you have a time when you want it all done? And we can work back from that. Do you have a planned time that you're wanting it all
Yeah,
done?
we have. End of March. Everything must be done. Recording must be done. So it means then the script editing, language editing, everything must be
Yeah.
done. End of March.
So end of March, meaning if you give them a month, or if you take a month for going from person to person and for recording and final quality control at the, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's true. It's true, but yes, that's true. So yeah, you will decide. But then that is why we are simplifying also the scripts, and also why I'm actually trying to take you through it so that you can almost complete it right here. So I'm trying to make it so that we work together so that we can actually complete much of it here in this week. So that you just go in and fill in the bits, actually. So what if it's end of February? Does it give you enough time? For script writing only?
No, I propose we do this not part of the training, because not everybody is part of what this due date is now coming.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, on the
Crystal?
date.
But some of the script writers are not here, they are still marking like mine. They will finish marking the 2nd of Feb.
Okay. So when is all the marking finished?
Will be concluded, I really don't know. We still have legacy. We are not quite certain. We cannot confirm that right now.
Okay, let's say the first week in February.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully.
Okay, so let's say
No, I mean the...
for
okay.
marking to be finished.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, we're trying to see
We cannot.
how much time people have. Okay. The reality is also with, there's writer's block. So it's a thing of if people can really do it alongside with us, it's really going to be better if they go straight after this workshop and finish it. Because as I say, don't worry, you send it to us and we fix it for you, it's fine. No? Because if you're going to not do it now, and you're going to only start in the last week of February or something like that, it will be very hard to place yourself back to this day when you could do it step by step all together with support. Okay? So really you would be doing yourself a favor doing here as much as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to write here February 2022, but I take note that we have not agreed on a date, and it will be communicated by Audrey to admins. Okay, so the in and out is what you see here. There is your actual script there. The in would be the first words of your joke. And the out is it would probably be goodbye, or it's the last music or something, okay? So normally it's good to have again soon, and then in brackets, music out, okay? So that you don't have just music on, and then if the person checks it, then the music seems okay, just to find out that all there was music, okay? So that to double check, have the music and good afternoon, my name, or whatever. Of course, you will not say good afternoon. Okay? Then this is where you just have blocks. So you will actually now kill all of them. You could just maybe do this. You could just say sound off, just to help you later. Just to help you later to get it and to keep those bullets there. So there you don't have to do much. You can just maybe kill most of this, unless you want to do it later, and it helps you to give you ideas or something. Okay? So if you already know who the narrator will be, you can put here the narrator and the name. The teacher, these are characters in your script, okay? So you cannot really use it now. It is a placeholder. Okay, let's talk about learning objectives. What is a learning objective? And where do you get it? Sorry? Yep, let's say it again. What is a learning objective?
No, I'm saying, I think you are getting it in the syllabus.
You're getting it in the syllabus. How many learning objectives do they normally state there in the syllabus? per lesson. You've got 4. Okay, this is where it's now becoming a thing of time. You know that you have. No, I shouldn't go overboard with being on the air. So there's, if you have 3 objectives, 3 learning outcomes, then you know that your total program is 15 minutes. You know that per outcome you must have 1 or 2 activities. So the more learning outcomes you have, the more careful you have to be with cutting words and keeping everything short. Okay? So you want your things to be short and spicy. You want the examples and the each learning outcome where you deal with it. You need to be there, words, because you need a bit of theory there, some explanation. You need an example per thing, example or 2, and you need at least 1 activity. Okay? So all those take each one a bit of time. So sometimes one can be very clever in the editing to make it shorter, but we have to get practiced with writing it so that the editing is minimal. Okay. So let it be your guide. Let it be between 3 and 4. Don't, sorry? I was just thinking, if it is 2 only, it means that you have to now stretch those things, and then you have to be careful so it gets boring. Okay? Because if you have 2, it means each one is roughly 7 minutes. And then it's hard to keep it interesting. Okay? Because the variety is also variety of learning outcomes, variety of content that goes with it, and variety of in the examples. Okay, so let's say we do it 3 or maximum 4. Okay, if possible. Okay, so see maybe if it would make sense to combine learning outcomes so that you have 3, if you have less.
Lynette, I don't want to talk so much, but
No, please do.
Also to consider, you might only cover 1 lesson objective in a lesson, because our lesson objectives for some subjects are very broad. That it's dealt with different aspects. You need to, at the end of this objective, learners need to be able to discuss say reading and directive writing, do toespraken, do blogs, do creative writing. All of that is in 1 objective. It's not separate objects. So it will depend on what the writer choose, the topic. Which skills or topic they choose and how the objective read. Some objectives are short and to the point, then you can have 3 objectives in a lesson. Sometimes you might take 1 objective and create 5 lessons just based on that 1 objective.
It is important that we have this discussion because I strongly disagree. And I will explain. Maybe they call it learning objective in the book, but it is obviously very broad. That is why you are saying it's 1 objective only. Now, when you are going to teach this learning objective, that, as you say, it consists of this, and this. It has to, because the piece of learning is too big. You have to break it into manageable pieces. And those manageable pieces becomes your learning objectives.
I think then the choice of words of objective there
Yeah.
will be confusing because they will go and take, for example, if especially people that were not able to attend this training, they will now look at the notes and they go into the syllabus and take
The
the learning
words.
objective 1, 2, 3, and then they try to put all that into one lesson, and it will not be possible. It's not going to work. So, because if I look at, for example, at the English syllabus, by the end of this, under one learning objective, they have like 3 different points. Where is the syllabus now?
But you see, those points are the learning outcomes.
Yeah, but objectives and outcomes is for us the same.
Yeah.
The use of
yeah.
the terminology that we
That's
use.
right.
to look.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a terminology that we have to talk about. So the big word they have there is learning objectives, right? In your books. Is it? But in the syllabus, yeah. Okay. So the syllabus says the learning objective is what? Right?
They basically the objective and then we have the competency.
Okay.
The objective is knowledge and understanding. The competency is like you need to be able to demonstrate knowledge
yeah.
and understanding of
Yes.
conventions of the following written textual form.
Yeah.
This is not English one objective, knowledge and understanding.
Yeah.
So then they say, by the end, learners should be able to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of.
Yeah.
Bullet 1, the conventions of the following written textual forms.
Yeah.
Email, a speech, an article, or a blog. Bullet number 2, the linguistic elements and literary features of text. That means you need to work about parts of speech, word classes, vocabulary, figurative languages, phonology, morphology, rhetorical devices, word ordering. You see, that's what we meant by it's really the comp, which we see, maybe as an outcome. It's still very broad. You can just take one and develop 4 lessons.
Yes, and that's true. So it is important to have the same understanding about what it is talking about. Good afternoon, morning, morning. Yeah, so it's important that everybody has the same understanding about what it is. So will it solve the problem if we call it learning competencies instead of learning objectives? So meaning these are the outcomes, but they find it in in a competency. The competency that you are mentioning is basically the lesson topic, isn't it? It's basically the syllabus. The syllabus is there, okay, and then in the syllabus there are those objectives. Those objectives, let's say it's about. You're saying toesprake, let's say about speeches. So that becomes a lesson. So in that lesson, you want to teach these competencies. They have to be able to what, and what.
Okay. For an English or in the languages, if the topic is about toespraak or speeches, that is the outcome. It's one.
Yeah.
Another one is to do blog. Another one is to do maybe diary. Those are the sub-components listed under the competency.
Yeah. Okay. So the competency is your lesson in the module. But the outcomes are these things what under the competency of, let's say, toesprake, in teaching them about toesprake, what is it that you're going to cover? Those are listed here. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I have an issue with the learning competencies because my syllabus just states learning objectives.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
add it so that people know where to find it and what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Specific objectives.
Yeah, they talk about objectives, not competence. Yeah, that's why we say we can add the objectives there.
Would that solve the problem?
Yeah. No? Yeah, and specific objectives. That's the same here.
And what is then the general objective?
The broader one.
So what will they, those people, those writers, what will they develop as a lesson? The specific objective.
objectives.
So let's put it in this format here to make it clear.
I think for the AS level and for the colleagues to be more clear, what we are going to focus on to be able to decide on our topics, look at whether it's called competencies or whether it's called specific objectives, where it says learners should be able to. That is what the learner should be able to do.
Okay, can you just guide me here? Where you are saying module.
We're not talking, we are working on the syllabus.
Okay.
Remember yesterday we said you can either say module
That's right.
or syllabus.
Yeah.
So in the syllabus, in some syllabuses it's been called competencies, in others it's been called specific objectives, but it's the same. Where you see in your syllabus, learners should be able to, and then they bullet listed what the learner should be able to do. That is where you're going to choose your lesson topic from.
Okay. Okay. So please, can we ask also all those online and here to add this to this form so that when you develop it, this is where you'll find it. So what I had as module, this changes.